I like to think of it that way. And then there's a lot that we still need to cover, but we're on it. That brings me to the end. I believe we're going to take questions collectively, right? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hassan. Before I call on our next speaker, for those of you who have been here since the morning, or even those who just walk in, you can see now the extent of an association like AFC takes on to ensure games are played cleanly, fairly. And these are all concepts of equity, fairness. I think many of us may not realize that many of us were exposed to law as young as 3 years old, 2 years old, when you were playing games, police and thief, someone, or hide and seek, when someone's counting to 10 and then stop counting again, they start looking for you. That's cheating, technically against the rule, and broke the law. So sports is actually a reflection of what we want, things to be done fairly. And look at the extent that AFC has gone through. And us who are lawyers here, this is where you step in. And that's where my speech earlier this morning was referring to. A non-sports lawyer will just look at this as information. A sports lawyer will see what we can do, and every layer of the work. And actually, if you're a defense lawyer, you start thinking of how to challenge the process. But if you're acting for AFC, you start thinking of how to defend the process. And that's why I encourage you, as lawyers, sports lawyers if you want to be, start looking at this and think of how you can step in and make a difference, or defend the player. Now, the next speaker is actually going to speak from the Malaysian aspect. Now, unfortunately for us in Malaysia, and way before Lazarus' time, in the 90s, at the peak of our semi-pro football league, when all of us were not following the English Premier League, the weekends was filled whether Perak can beat Kedah or Selangor can beat KL. Now we refer to some foreign clubs 2,000 miles away and get excited about them. But unfortunately, in the mid-90s, we went through a massive match-fixing scandal, and FAM was badly hit by them. And since then, FAM fought back very hard. And we have, I think they have tried to clean the game as much as possible. And over and above that, I think Lazarus will also be speaking about their experience about integrity. So I present to you Mr. Lazarus Xavier.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Richard, thank you once again for inviting me. I know you've broken the policy now. Okay, so for the rest of the speakers, you always have a second opportunity to speak for the RWY Sports Law Conference, probably next year. Now, much has been said by Hassan in regards to integrity. Now, it seems that integrity is the word of the day for sports association. Why is that so? Now, for lay people like you, not you, probably some of you all are lawyers actually, for the general public, integrity is all about honesty and upholding certain moral values. But what is integrity for sportsmen or sportswomen? Crossing the line, but crossing the line with certain dignity, respect, and with fair competition. Now, if we translate that for a sportsman or for a sportswoman, it's all about the inner values together with the outer action to produce a winning mentality. Now, when we talk about integrity, it's not only in reference to sportsmen or sportswomen. Anyone who is involved in sports should uphold a certain level of integrity. That includes myself as well. Sometimes it's a big challenge for any officials in sports association to uphold a certain level of integrity, because the sports association is very unique. The structure itself is unique. And here I just want to correct what Richard has mentioned earlier about FIFA. He expressly stated that FIFA is corrupt. No, FIFA is not corrupt. It's not the institution that is corrupt. is the people that are elected who can be corrupted. And why is that so? Because today's sports is all about money. It's big business. It's about broadcasting rights, commercialization of sports, and you've heard from some of the earlier speakers as well. And we are not only talking about match manipulation. Hassan has well articulated on match manipulation. I'm not going to focus more on match manipulation. But when we talk about integrity again, it's not only match manipulation. Okay, we are talking about, say for example, a player punching the referee, for example. If you look at the slides here, that warrants a red card. So the player has failed in his duty to show respect to who? The referee, who is the first disciplinary officer on the field of play. And then, of course, it also extends to who? The fans as well. And you will notice that it's quite difficult for me, representing Football Association of Malaysia, taking a lot of heat recently. Okay, apart from the performance of our national team, which is bad, over and above, we have fans who are bombarding us with flares and rockets. I think probably you would have watched the match against Saudi. So where is the integrity of the fans? So don't blame the players, don't blame the officials, because integrity involves anyone who is directly or indirectly connected to football. We had speakers who spoke about doping. So match manipulation is just not one integrity issue or unethical issue, but doping as well. So there's a lot of elements in regards to integrity, and we as sports association are combating this threat, not only in relation to match manipulation, but in all other aspects as well. And that makes our life very, very difficult. Now, you will notice from my slides from now onwards that it's actually a duplication or a repetition of what Hassan has actually spoken. Reason being is because we have FIFA, the governing body, and together with the Asian Football Confederation. And therefore, we are bound to follow rules and regulations which are actually set by FIFA. And we work closely with the FIFA and the AFC to ensure that proper rules and regulations are put in place in regards to combating match manipulation or any other misconduct or misbehavior by officials or fans. Probably there are some other sports associations here. For your information, what are we doing as a sports association? What are we doing to combat the threat? And a lot of us actually say that match fixing or match manipulation is the biggest threat to the most beautiful game, which is football. Okay? It's not only match manipulation, but there are other threats, potential threats as well. But of course, the focus is more on match manipulation. Again, because of the level of criminality involved. And when I say level of criminality, it's participation of third parties into football, which makes our lives much more difficult. So what are we doing? Very simple, we are increasing pressure to safeguard integrity. And how do we increase this pressure? We have established an integrity department way back in 2010, correct? And subsequently, we merged the integrity department with the security department recently. So we now have an integrity and security department. We have a head of integrity and security officer who is a former police officer. We have an FAM integrity officer, a law graduate himself. And then of course we have an integrity committee. Now the integrity department is guided by certain rules. So apart from national law, we also have the disciplinary code, the code of ethics, for example, the code of conduct, which governs the processes of this integrity department. So primarily this integrity department is there to combat match manipulation. Apart from match manipulation, of course, it extends to look into doping and other violations in regards to the integrity of the administration itself. Now, this is the integrity committee. Now, you'll notice that we actually have an army. okay, an army to combat match manipulation. In fact, the committee was established in 2010 pursuant to Article 58 of the statutes, and I want to read this, to observe the league players and officials for unhealthy elements in football activities such as bribery and match fixing. So the sole function or the responsibility of this integrity committee is to look into bribery and match fixing. So we have key stakeholders within this committee. And in most cases, or in every cases, all information or decision is processed by this integrity committee.